This is, oh man, why did I pick this one? Okay, just do it, just do it. I now I know how Derek feels. All right, I have to actually eat something real quick. Okay, here we go. All right. Elise took a couple steps into the room, closing the door behind her, and cast a glance around, looking everywhere but at him. She was beautiful when she was shy. Alexander closed the gap between them and surrendered to his desire to cup her cheek. It was soft and hot beneath his fingers, a flush of color darkening her skin. He brought her head around to face him, her eyes lingering on his lips, as though she feared meeting his. Was she still afraid of him? He stroked his fingers along the gentle slope of her jaw and then trailed them down her throat. He had never hid his intention, and he wasn't going to start now. He wanted her to know that he was going to win her. "Let me see," he whispered and moved around her. She stood rooted to the spot, staring ahead still, as though transfixed, and he didn't resist him. Drawing a long, deep breath, Alexander stepped up behind her. He washed his hands as he skimmed down over her arms and across her chest, to the line of the black buttons that ran down the middle of her jacket. When the first one gave beneath his fingers, he glanced at her throat and then looked at her face. Her eyes were closed and her lips parted. He smiled and moved on to the next button. Her compliance surprised him. He had expected her to push him away by now. Had something changed? Alexander undid the last button by her waist and grazed her stomach with his thumbs as he drew her jacket open. He ran his hands up her arms to her throat and brushed it with his fingers as he slipped them under her collar. She shivered and sighed. His heart beat faster. So did hers. It sounded in his ears, slightly out of sync with his own, creating a divine melody. He drew her jacket down her arms and off her, tossing it over the couch. She didn't move. He was tempted to ask her what had happened to the feisty, defiant side of her, but he didn't want to break whatever spell she was under. Easing his hands up her white shirt-covered back, he paused with his left over the point where the crossbow had struck her. Alexander leans forward, so his chest brushed her back and brought his mouth to her ear. "Does it hurt?" he whispered into it. Elise shook her head, and her ear brushed his lips. She stilled again, and then turned her face toward him as though seeking more contact with him. He remained close to her, his cheek against her ear as he undid the buttons of her white shirt. He could feel her trembling and hear her heart beating fast. The rise and fall of her chest with her soft, quick breath enticed him, luring him into touching her as he stopped undoing her shirt just below her breasts. He grazed them as he brought his hands up to her shirt collar, and her breath stuttered. "Don't do this." When he drew her shirt up and over her shoulder, exposing the smooth, milky skin, he groaned. She wasn't wearing a bra.
Oh my.
There you go! Heart of
Oh
Darkness.
my. Another tease. Oh.
Wow. Oh my.